Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to our series of talks for the Four Nations book, Contiguous, Archipelago, The Conversations. And today we have our final country, which is Thailand. We will be talking to the architects who are included in the book from Thailand. As you well know, the Four Nations book is a collaboration between the Professional Architects Institutes of four countries, namely AIA, Indonesian Architects Institute, SIA, Singapore Institute of Architects, PAM, Malaysia Institute of Architects, and ASA, the Association of Siamese Architects. The Four Nations Group is an informal alliance between the professional architectural institutes. We convene regularly, and we don't just do books, we collaborate in all sorts of programs, including practice and education. And for the book, each of the institutes were sending the best of their projects, which actually have won awards in their own institute programs or institute awards. Yeah, so the selection was from the best of the best of each countries, and compiled together in the form of a narrative that explores the commonalities and the differences of each country. And we are glad to report that the book is done after the challenging times of COVID-19. And finally, it is out. Depends on which institute you belong to. For PAM, we are printing it and giving it to all our members with your subscription of AM, the Architects Magazine. And today we have with us the editor of the book from Thailand. There are four editors from each country, and from Thailand we have the Thai chief editor, which is the associate dean for student affairs, alumni, and professional relations from the Faculty of Architecture, Chiang Mai University. Assistant Professor Dr. Ratapong Angkasih, my very good friend. We usually just call him Dr. Art or Art. Yeah.
Hi, thank you so
Hi,
much,
Art. How are
Sally, for
you?
the introduction. Good, how are you?
Yeah. So I think doing the book is something very rewarding and challenging for you. So perhaps the audience would like to see and listen to what you have to say about your experience doing the book. So I leave the floor to you, Art. Yeah,
Okay, thank you so much, Sally. I'll share my screen.
right.
Okay, all right. Okay, so
Yes.
everyone see the screen? Yes. Okay. So because I already went through most of the talk by each of the country. So most of the talk it's talking about what's and process of this Four Nations book. So I might add to that a little bit more. So the concept of Four Nations book, I still remember that there was a time that we were in KL. We will have a meeting with Four Nations, and then we were. That's the first time that we discussing about the Four Nation books. I think the time there were Yishin, Sally, and Yessi and me. We were talking, and but I had to leave earlier to catch the flights. So I think it's just got me thinking that that's the first step of our Four Nation books, and then we keep working and we try to get the best design architecture design for each country, and then we put in our books, and then Yishin help edit it. So I think this is the our speaker from Thailand today. So we have some architects, and we have creative crews, and actually sadly the representative from Asomsin got caught in the meeting, and then we have Sakan architect, and then me and Yishin. So I think just need to talk a good word from the all the president that really helping to to put really push for this project to be completed and success. And also need really need to um, talk about the late president from IAI, Ahmed Juhala, really good friends. Um, we still really miss him, and then I was just really miss him. So for those four presidents really helping to make this book possible, and then I really glad that we still have a plan to continue this books, and then for every 1 to 2 years. And then just want to let you guys know that our four nations, like Sally said, we've been doing a lot of activities together. Not just meeting, we also have sharing practices. We also have like cross-platform program, and we also have internship program as well. So the four nations will be Thailand, Malaysia, Singapore, and Indonesia. And the interesting thing later on when we kind of get the each awarded project from each of the country or the four countries, I think it's quite interesting that when editor, the main editor is Yishin from SIA, um, quite clever to put those uh, buildings into the group. I kind of really like it. Heritage, faith, ecology, and density. And then at first we were like discussing that, oh, maybe it's kind of interesting that in which categorize we will put those in the groups. So I think for heritage, um, in this today, okay, let's go to the speakers. So for today, I think a lot of we have one of the speaker. His name is Sagan, quite young, and I think his work is really interesting. Just want to brief a little bit, but Sally will give more introduction to him. So this is his work, a living novice living quarter, quite really interesting. This project like caught my eye many years ago, and then one of the category that we have like many awards is ecology. We have Asa Farm Stay from Creative Crew. We have Susing to present the works. This is Asa Farm Stay. And from Somdun Architect, we have Asalana Center. And actually, this one is Asom Sin, but they cannot make it because they caught on the meeting. And and I think the interesting point for this project, that's when we divide it in terms of like in terms of categories. I think it's keep me thinking that between the four nations, the our design ability, it's very remarkable. And when you look closely to each of the project, you've seen the what should I say, identity for each country in that one. So I think today is really good a day that we have our Thai company representative. So they will discuss and then give us the inside thought for each of the project. So let's not waste the time. I think I'll just briefly on the how I felt during the project. And this is the photo that we took when we have Art ID in Jakarta. In that year, I think that's the last time I met Juhara before I left back to Thailand. Okay, so I think that's yeah, that's it. That's pretty much for me. Please, thank you so much, Sally, for my first session, and then please get back to you.
Thank you, Art. Such fond memories of that photo. I think all of us were in Arc ID in Indonesia. It was their premier expo and convention. If I'm not mistaken, it was in March 2020. So the passing away of their president Ahmad Johara, our good friend, was such a shock at that moment because we were in the midst of the COVID pandemic, and it just hit us like it could hit anybody. And and the fact that we were just talking to him, he took the effort to talk to everybody, and it's such a sad loss, not just for Indonesia, I think for the whole architects fraternity in the whole of Asia. But life goes on, and we tried to finish the book. So don't worry, I will discuss further because we want the idea of this conversation series is to carry forward the conversations coming from the book, and we'll have a session after all the speakers have presented, and perhaps we could talk more about the categories and what you think about it. Yeah.
Yes.
So let me introduce the first speaker, which is Skan Chayawat. Yeah. He did his project, which is the Novice Living Quarters, in collaboration with Rina Shindo and Wisam Wisutampun. So, as mentioned by Art, Skan Chayawat is very young. He was born in Bangkok in 1988, graduated from the Faculty of Architecture in Chulalongkorn University in 2011. He began working as for Architects 49 Limited in the same year before founding his independent office in 2020. In 2018, he was invited as a guest speaker for the symposium Education and Urban Inquiry at the University of Applied Arts in Vienna, Austria, and uh, the Construe and Construct 10 at the Department of Architecture, National University of Singapore in 2019. So he has been around, passionate about design, passionate about architectural education. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let me present architect Skan Chayawat.
Hello.
Hi, Skan.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
uh,
yeah,
I think the audience can't wait to hear about your novice living quarters. Can you please share your screen?
sure.
And I leave the floor to you. Thank you.
Thank you. So, is it okay? Everyone can see the screen now, right?
Yeah, yeah, we can.
Okay. So, good afternoon. My name is Kanjayawat. I am an architect from Bangkok, Thailand. And so, yeah, the Novice Living Quarters, Puthanimit Temple. So, the project is located at the northeastern part of Thailand in a province called Udon Thani. It is in a rural area called Kutjap district. And Puthanimit Temple is actually a place to gather people in the community. And also, it is a school for families who cannot send their sons to public school. They would send their sons to this temple, and they have to enroll as novice monks, and they can study here for free. And then one day, when the number of the novices increased, the temple school required more rooms for the novices to stay. So the headmaster monk um, went to a donor to ask for a donation to build a new dormitory for them. And then and this is how the dormitory looked like before the existing one. And then the donor came to us and asked us to design the new dormitory for them. And this is the site location, the site plan layout of the temple. So you can see the pink buildings are the religious purpose buildings, and the blue ones are the existing dormitory, and the red building is the school building. So at first, the headmaster monk he planned to build the new dormitory here at the yellow dotted line area. But then when we first visited the site, we found that in order to build a new building here, we have to cut down a lot of trees. So we try to find an alternative. And then we stumbled upon this abandoned building here at the green area here. this is how the abandoned building looked like. So it was used as a storage to store things that are not useful for the temple anymore. So the space was quite dark and opaque. Nobody really used this space. So then we came up with a plan to renovate this abandoned building into a new dormitory instead of building a new one. And the structural cost that we could save from this old building can be also used to build a new library. All of this could be done with the same amount of budget. This is in the storage room of the abandoned building. So you see, it's a left out space. Nobody cares about this space anymore. So then when the headmaster monk agreed with us to renovate the abandoned building instead of building a new one, we started to have workshops with them. I think it took us about 3 or 4 months to do the workshops. Sometimes we went there with the physical model. Sometimes we went there with the digital model to discuss with them and try to gather as much information as we could for the design. And every time that we went to the site, we noticed that the novices, they like to stay in group and they like to be in a place where elder monks could not easily inspect them, so they can, they can do whatever thing they want without being seen from the teachers, from the monks. And actually, they're not different from normal kids at all. They're actually quite naughty. And then after several months, we came up with this plan for the renovation. So you can see the building in the middle. The largest one here is the renovated dormitory. And on the right-hand side is the bathing area. On the left here is the newly built library, which the library connects directly to the school building here. And in front of the school building is the plaza to gather people in the community when the temple has public events. So there will be times that this area will be filled up with a lot of people. So the dormitory building. So in this diagram, you see the only thing that we kept from the old abandoned building is the RC structure here, the RC columns and beams. Other than that, the walls, doors and windows, roof, everything else are the added on architectural elements. This is during the construction photograph. The only thing that we kept, as I told you, is the RC structure and the walls, the extending steel structure here. They are all newly built, added on elements. This is the view from the east side of the old abandoned building before the renovation. This is the after renovation. And this is the view from the public plaza. So you can see behind these two trees is the old library, which is quite not inviting. So nobody really used the space. So we decided to demolish this building and then we built the new one for them on the left-hand side. And then this is the after photo. On the left-hand side here is the library, and this is the renovated dormitory. This is the interior of the storage room in the abandoned building before the renovation. So as you can see, it was very dark, opaque, and dirty. So we decided to take off the concrete ceiling, and then we let the natural light in and turn the space into bedrooms for the novices. So each bedroom can accommodate around 4 to 5 novices. This is the corridor in front of the storage rooms. It was also very dark and nobody really used this space. So we kept only the RC structure and then we added on only necessary architectural elements and turned it into a common space for the novices. So they use this space to be with their friends, doing their homework, and etc. And on the left-hand side, you see the wall. It is built from the cement ventilation blocks, and the blocks are tilted at an angle to provide the novices privacy from the public plaza. So this is the view angle from the public plaza, and this is the direction of the tilted cement ventilation blocks. So when you look from the public area, you can barely see what's happening behind the wall. But at the same time, the cement ventilation blocks allow for view, light, and ventilation. So the novice, they are comfortable without being easily seen from the public. And behind the dormitory is the bathing area. So you can see the rope hanging lines here. They act as a blind to give the novices privacy from the public road nearby. And on the left-hand side of the dormitory is the library. So the library connects directly to the school building. And in front of the school building is the public plaza, right? As you can see in this section, the existing school buildings will reflect indirect sunlight into the library room. So it helps prolongs the lifespan of the books and giving appropriate amount of daylight for reading in the library. The library's roof is slanted, is tilted to the south direction to protect the heat from the south sun. So you can see that there are no opening at the south side of the building. So on the right hand side is the south, and on the left is the north. So we put the clear story window over here at the north south to allow indirect daylight, natural light to enter into the space. And the raised floor of the library is not only to match with the existing school building, but it also promotes natural ventilation for the building. So you can see the books are barely touched by direct sunlight, so it helps prolong the lifespans of the book. And now I would like to show the video that we took from the site after the project is completed. And so this is about 4 to 5 a.m. in the morning. The novices, they woke up and they're dressing up before preparing themselves before they go out to collect alms from people in the community. And around 6 a.m. they go out. You see behind the trees is the dormitory, and on the left-hand side is the library. And in the common space, this is when the family of the monk came to visit him. We call this gesture "kra" in Thai, like it's to pay respect to the monk. And every afternoon, the novices, they have to clean the leaves on the floor, which is part of meditation in the library. So actually, the indirect light in the library is already enough for reading, so they don't have to turn on any artificial light during daytime. Behind the rope, hanging line is the public road, as I mentioned. The bathing area. And actually, this bathing area can be used by the novices from other dormitory within the temple as well. So it's like a small communal space for the novices, so they can um, gather at this area as well. In the night before they go to bed. And this is the last slide, which is this photograph is actually one of my favorite, because throughout this project we have learned that um, good architecture doesn't always have to stand out. Sometimes it appears only as background for people's life and nature. And we do believe that architecture has a potential to improve people's quality of life, no matter who they are, where they're from, or what their status is. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Scan. I think we are all impressed with the simplicity and the humbleness of the project. The project is so simple yet so elegant and so meaningful to many people, especially with regards to the novices. I think after this, in our dialogue session and discussion session, we'll further discuss on various aspects. I think it's interesting as well that you're the only project that actually goes into the faith category, whereas most of the other Thai architect goes into ecology. But looking at the project itself, there is a lot of elements of nature as well that interacts with your project. Yeah. So we'll talk later,
Thank you.
Scan.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So without further ado, let me introduce our next speaker, which is architect Supachai Kyungam, who is an associate with Samdon Architects. Yeah. Another young architect who is born in 1986. He holds a Bachelor of Architecture from Chulalongkorn University, Thailand in 2009, as well as a Master of Science in Real Estate Business from the Thammasat University in Thailand in 2022. Of course, he's a registered with the Council of Architects and as well as a member of the Association of Siamese Architects. He has done many projects in his CV, which I wouldn't want to go to each one. Regardless to say, he has a very high passion towards design and high interest in looking at very sensitive architecture. And this project that Samdon Architects actually land in the book is actually ASA's Lana Center, which is located in Chiang Mai. ASA is the Association of Siamese Architects itself, so it's one of their own buildings. So without further ado, um, let me welcome architect Superchai. Hi, Superchai. Are you there? Yeah.
Hi, Sally. Yes.
Hi. So please, I think please display your PowerPoint. I think everybody can't wait to see this wonderful building.
Okay.
Yeah,
You
we can
see
see
it?
it. So I leave the floor to you, Superchai. Good luck.
Thank you. Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Subhashai Kyongam from Somrun Architects. Today, I will talk about our project, Asa Lana Center. This project was a competition by Association of Siamese Architects. It's a branch office for the northern of Thailand. First, this project located in the northern of Thailand is located in Chiang Mai. The site is located on a highway, Chotana Road, and about 30 minutes from the Chiang Mai airport, and the west side is face to the doorstep is the main attraction in Chiang Mai. In the city has a unique architecture, cultural identity as it was a capital of an independent kingdom named Lana. It means the Lana means kingdom of a million rice fields. That's That is the main concept of our project to remind the people from every people, not eventually the architects, every people remind that the Lana is a million light field, and we try to connect past Lana to the present Lana to represent the Asa Center. So first, the first idea is split the layer of the function that the Chiang Mai in the past in the lower level, and the Chiang Mai in the present in the lower level, and the Chiang Mai in the past in the upper level, and then we try to connect by the circulation that to side, and put the middle courtyard to connect the two periods of time together. And then about the function, we have office, library, and meeting room, assembly room, a little coffee shop, and the back of house. So the important things is the simple Lana architecture that we show like identity of the Lana styles, like a pavilion, and show the timber structure sala. And the rice field is a landscape on the rooftop. Yeah. And then we push the stepping yard to connect the Chotana Road on the highway road, and to looking to the sala, the Lana Sala. This is the overall picture from the sky to look at the overall project. So this is the Chotana Road, and this is the entrance, and this is the northern Sala, Lana Pavilion, and to connect to the road. This is the section of the project that we have shown the overall function. This is the entrance, and this is main courtyard to the connect the lower level and the upper level. Okay, at the main entrance on the side, then carved into the landform, building create a quiet entrance space way from the highway. When we entering the center of the building, you will find a courtyard that connecting the ground floor and the roof space. And at the back, the pavilion, which is a focal point of the building, can also be seen through the courtyard to ensure the sense of unity. Apart from bringing down natural light to the room on the ground floor. By the courtyard is also flexible space for the different kind of events organized by ASA members and also be an extension of multi-purpose room. Yeah, this is the connection of from the multi-purpose room to the courtyard. Okay. On the rooftop, a timber structure pavilion in Lanna style is located. Its proportion and the detail were advised by local veteran and the builder. This is a picture of the sala. Yes, this is the opposite side is a doorstep mountain. This is me. From this sala, the people can enjoy the rooftop space from the pavilion with a view of doorstep that the sacred mountain in Chiang Mai. About the material and finishes of the building were express the natural material such as the rooftop is like a timber roof, cedar wood shingle, and all of the concrete is like a panther pot, is a bamboo concrete stamp, and some of the floor is brickwork and terracotta. Yes, this is a picture of the combination of the material between the brickwork and the bamboo concrete stamp. We put some the pattern to make a view from the inside to the outside. By arrange the brick. This is the bamboo concrete formwork and the labor to the cast infill. Yes, this is the picture of the bamboo concrete formwork in the finishes. Yeah. This is the view from the Chotana Road, passing by the building to look at the step-rise landscape with Lanna style pavilion will keep reminding us of the spirit of Lanna. And this is a overall video from the project. You see the highway road is have a lot of car, but we have a buffering to the make a privacy from the road. Is like a main entrance is carving here and put the courtyard here to reduce the noise and the pollution. This is a view from the entrance and the staircase up to the rooftop. This is the walkthrough to the courtyard and the North Lana Pavilion. The opposite side is the Noisy Mountain. Thank you.
Thank you, Super Chai. It was a wonderful project. The amount of details that you guys have put into the building is amazing. The materiality and the way that you have incorporated vernacular and local elements and sort of almost craftsmanship like finishes. Very impressed with the bamboo formwork that just reflects. That's where I was wondering, where did you get the pattern? Because in the book they never explain where the pattern came from, and now we know that the pattern actually came from impressions of the bamboo. And perhaps we'll delve more into this detailing and the intricacies of your project after this in our discussion session. Yeah. Thank you, Super Chai. We'll see you
Thank
later.
Thank you.
Yeah. And without further ado, we will introduce our next speaker, from Creative Cruise. Yeah. So actually, we have uh, two speakers because at first we have architect Xiao Xing, who will present the project initially, but now she is joined with her colleague Eke Chan. I'll introduce them both. Xiao Xing co-founded Creative Cruise Singapore with Eke Chan and PewPie. Xiao Xing has more than 10 years practicing experience in China, Southeast Asia. She has obtained Singapore registered architect license in 2016 and became an associate at her previous award-winning Chan Sao Yan Associates in 2018. Her work ranged from private residences to high-rise commercial buildings and high-end hotels in different countries at various geographical locations. Having experience working with clients and consultants from different countries, Xiao Xing brings expertise of operating in cross-cultural environments and strengthens Creative Crew's ability of reaching out regionally and globally. Whereas we have architect Eka Chan Iamanan Watana, who has co-founded Creative Cruise with PewPie in 2016. Eka Chan provides a different range of architectural background. Eka Chan's profession is a pursuit of civic and cultural programs, as evidenced in his academic career by his degree in the Masters of Advanced Studies in Urban Design from ETH Zurich, as well as practice with W Architects in Singapore. At W, he was involved in projects encompassing multiple disciplines addressing different scales and contexts, which enable his multitude comprehension in urban elements in architecture aspect. And personal highlights include the revitalization of the beloved national heritage, Victoria Theatre and Concert Hall, rejuvenation of invaluable Sir Raffles collection via Lee Kong Chian National History Museum and such. In parallel to above, Ike Chan also works as an academic. He lectures and serves as studio master at Kasetsart University for urban research and design programs, as well as architectural programs in Bangkok University. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Xiao Xing and Ike-chan to the floor.
Hi.
Hi guys. Yeah, really glad that you could join us, Ike-chan. I know you're very busy today. Thank you for making time. Well, I'm not sure how you're going to manage the two independent. Yeah, sorry, you're saying something, Ike-chan.
Oh no, it's my pleasure to be here. Thank you for
Yeah,
inviting us. Yeah.
yeah, great to have you. Great to have you. Without further ado, please do share your presentation. And it's a very one of the very interesting projects in the book, very closely knit with vernacular architecture as well as local craftsmanship. Yeah.
Okay. I will be. This is Xiaoxing from Creative Cruise. Good afternoon, everyone. So I'll be going through the presentation with the project, with this project, and further on in Q&A sessions, architect Ekachan is gonna be mainly involved with the discussions. So Asa Farm Stay is located in Chiang Rai, the north part of Thailand. And when the client approached us, they told us that they bought 85 rai of land, including 2 hills. There's about 136,000 square meters. And this piece of land, it has like farm, rice plantation, vegetable, fruits, and palm tree, etc. All kinds of plantations. They told us they want to do a farm stay, which is like a shift from like normal to from typical tourist kind of visits, like you hop out within 1 hour and you just leave the place. They want to change it and to do something like a ecotourism, so that people could really stay at this place and learn the culture and really get involved with the space. So and also they are also running this tour travel agency, mainly bringing Italian tourists to Thailand. So apparently Italian tourists are very famous for being like super picky, and they like to leave like nasty comments everywhere. In the end, they couldn't find any hotels to stay. So the clients decided to, why not we just buy the land and build our own farm stay, and we can achieve our goal even better. So when they buy the land from the previous owner, the owner had 2 conditions. One is to keep the 2 buffaloes which are already here. Their names are Angela and Angelina. And now in the image you see 3 buffaloes. Of course, one of them is the baby. Yeah. And the other condition is that our client has to keep the auntie and uncle who have been living on this land and taking care of the land. Yeah. So that has become our one of our design conditions. So this design actually involved 2 parts. One is the day trip part. Another part is the longer stay, where people could come to this place, stay in the villas, and learn, having workshops that are being conducted at the space. So what you are seeing now is actually the villa area, the villa compound. So it consists of 4 guest rooms, which are in these 2 buildings, and there's a host unit where the auntie and uncle staying on the top, and at the bottom is the kitchen and the workshop. So and then at this part is going to be an activity area, which is the main communal space. This is the main part, and it's supposed to be scattered around 8 places, but this is going to be like the first typology, and then it's going to be multiplied across the entire site. This is how it looks like in the image. As you can see, these two buildings are the guest room, while this is the where the host unit, the auntie and uncle stays, and the workshop at the bottom. And another image of how it's being utilized. So another part of this site, which we mentioned earlier, is the day trip part. So it involves like a restroom and then the kitchen area for people to have lunch here. I mean, for the villagers to showcase the cooking methods and to cook for the tourists, which it also has like dining pavilions scattering around the field. So this is how Lana people used to cook, because up in the north part of Thailand, it's a little bit cold, so they are used to cook indoors, unlike other parts of Thailand. But when it's cooking indoor with the kind of materials being used for the house, it's like kind of a fire hazard. Therefore, they have sand around the stove so that if there's a fire happening, they can quickly put off the fire. And another thing you can see from the image is how they store how they put the storage overhead. So we took that as an inspiration, building the similar kind of stove, but we bring it outside to the pavilion so that the cooking can be showcased to the tourists. And of course, the main cooking for the tourists will be within this kitchen. And as you can see, we have this rice storage. Is also a traditional way of storing rice at the local area. Well, this is how the dining pavilion looks like. And this is how we invite the local villagers to come to cook and to showcase how they normally really utilize the stove and cook. Yeah. Back to the main compound where the where the villas are. So as you can see that we have been utilizing a lot of wood in the construction. So so for this, we would like to touch a little bit on the materials that we have been used. Firstly, when the client approached to us, they have actually told us that they have they have timbers from 3 houses that's being torn down, and they would like to reuse that. So we took that as an inspiration, and we actually documented all the timbers that the client had, and we planned it and reutilized them into this project. And eventually, we actually used 8 houses timbers. So actually, while we were doing this project, we realized that in the north part of Thailand, there is this trend that the traditional houses are no longer being welcomed by the locals because of like maybe the facility is not sufficient or something. So they tend to tear down their houses and then just build quick construction, maybe prefab concrete, and then build their new houses. So this is a trend that we cannot avoid. Instead of like trying to persuade them staying, why not we give the timber some new life and try to utilize in a different way? That's what we thought. That's why we integrated into this new project. And so this is the timber. As you can see, they come from 8 houses. Therefore, the colors are varied. And the other material we would like to highlight is this roof tiles. They are actually from a family workshop. They use like hand press tiles. And is not easily found anymore. But again, we were introduced by the locals and then found this workshop, and then we managed to get these tiles from them. And another material would be the wall. As you can see, they are red. So we actually took the inspiration from the artist that lives around this area. He has his art compound, which is called Soi Ding Dang, which is called actually the name means red hue. So he mixed mud and cement together to create the strength of the wall. And so we used that as inspiration, and we tested a few rounds on site and to find the correct strength and the strength for the wall. And this is the color that we have achieved. It's not really red, but then it provides the adequate strength. So as you can see, because we are using old timbers, the stumps at the foot have varying height. This is to accommodate the different length of the timber. And we also purposely showcased some of the joints or the traces of the past by displaying it perhaps like reversed way. Like you can see here, it used to be where they put the beam, where the beam connects with the column. This is also another place where we display the history of the old timber. And as just now we had shown you about the rice storage, is this giant storage that is made by soft rantan. And actually not many people are using this anymore, but we thought that it's something that is worth reminding, reminding that this is what a tradition is. So we actually looked for craftsmen. Actually, what happened was that there was the temple nearby, and there were those young monks and children's, and okay, it's not child slavery, but they actually help us to do to weave and make this rice storage. So this is how it looks like. Eventually, how it turns out. And this is the workshop space where they could display the where the villagers could come and showcase how to cook, and as well as teaching about the Thai herbs, etc. As you can see, the overhead storage is also we've also taken the inspiration from the traditional way of how Lana people store their stuff. And as you can see, we have this giant water jars. We have tried to. It's also some element that can be found locally. So we try to use it in different kinds of ways. For example, we used it like as part of we customized it as part of the basing. Yeah, and you can see like a ceramic switches. These are the things that we found locally. So when we were doing this project, we actually had this rule to us to set by ourselves, is that all construction materials must be from within 1 hour drive from the site. So this is like how we are trying to achieve to use local material as much as possible. And this is just an illustration of how we constructed the kitchen area for the day tour. So with the roof tile and then the roof structures, and we have this overhead storage, and below with the platform where on top we have this traditional rice storage, and the stove is open and in the middle. And of course, supporting the roof structure, we have all the different kinds of timber that we have collected from the 8 houses. Some other details. And because Chiang Rai is north part of Thailand, it gets cold in the winter. So we actually designed this double corridor system so that it has a double layer of shutters, which can keep the internal, which is the bedroom, to be warm, while the corridor become the external corridor become like a veranda space for people to relax. And this is the bedroom. And while we were building the house, we ran out of wood planks that can be used for floor. So we actually worked really closely with the craftsmen, the carpenters. But so they taught us how to overlay 2 layers of wall panels to become staggering them and to create enough strength for the floor slab. So for the floor planks, so we took their advice and designed accordingly. So as you can see, we work really close with the carpenter, and we really learned a lot throughout this process. And this is how they taught us like the traditional way of building the staircase. So no nails is involved, and if one piece of riser thread is broken, it can be easily replaced. This is how they were at work. So these are the carpenters or craftsmen that we have to work with throughout this project. And it's really a learning process for us that we learned a lot, like different kind of material properties and how to do them, how to put them all together. And one of the carpenter actually told us that he was before this he has been working on this. He has been doing this job for like 50 years, but he really didn't feel any appreciation throughout the entire career. But only when he started working with us, he started to feel that maybe his knowledge is worth something. So at during the construction, he actually brought his grandson to the project, and we are hoping that by doing this project and by working closely with them, we could ignite some spark that people can see the value in the old timbers, perhaps in a different kind of ways, and or old traditional craftsmanship, old ways of working. They all have its own value. With this, I shall end the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Xiaoxing, for your presentation. It's a very intimate project, very personalized, and I think if people who have actually seen the draft of the book might not again see all the intricacies that you have shown. There's a whole other layer to it. I think perhaps that's the weakness of the book. It's not thorough enough. We don't have time enough to actually delve deeper into things like construction, the recycle wood that you are using, the details, and how even the project came to be. Yeah. No worries. We'll discuss this in our discussion session. I think I would like to bring everybody back on screen. It's sad that we don't have the guys from Ashram Slip with us today, but it's okay. We move on. Yeah, welcome back, Art. Welcome back, Super Chai. Welcome back, Scan. Yeah. I think the common element that actually that I see that goes through most of the projects is the very sensitive way that all these projects are actually intertwined with nature. And I think that is why if we look at the book, the way that the book has been arranged, uh, Thailand has the most architects that has been put into the ecology section. Yeah, so even the novice quarters just now, although it's under faith, but you can feel the natural link to the context. You can see the trees, how it's totally dependent on the trees, totally dependent on the site and whatnot. Perhaps maybe each one of you can give a comment on how this relationship with nature actually affects your work. Yeah, maybe starting with Scan.
Okay. So is it okay to answer this in Thai, and please be translate for me, please?
Yeah,
Sure.
definitely. No
Sure.
worries. Art is ever ready.
I think I'll do it better in Thai. So sorry.
No worries. I mean, like, it's okay.
ครับก็คือจริงๆคิดว่า เหมือนมันเป็นโปรเจกต์ที่ไม่ได้มีงบเยอะมีงบจำกัดเพราะฉะนั้นเงินทุกบาททุกสตางค์ที่เราลงทุนไปกับโปรเจกต์จะต้องได้ผลที่ดีที่สุดแล้วการที่สถาปัตยกรรมจะมีผลที่ดีต่อผู้อยู่อาศัยได้เนี่ยผมก็คิดว่าธรรมชาติหมายถึงธรรมชาติความหมายก็คือแสงลมที่ว่างที่ดีเนี่ยจำเป็นที่จะต้องเรียกว่าอะไรครับคือต้องดึงธรรมชาติต้องดึงแสงลมสเปซที่ดีออกมาได้ด้วยวัสดุที่ถูกเหมือนเราใช้งบที่จำกัดแต่เรา arrange ทุกอย่าง arrange space arrange architecture ของเราให้รับลมมีแสงที่ดีมี space ที่ดี
เหมือนใช้ต้นทุนที่มีอยู่ใช่ไหมครับ
ด้วยต้นทุนผมว่าหลักๆคือต้นทุนเลยคือหมายถึงเราไม่ได้สวยไม่ได้หรูหราไม่ได้ฟู่ฟ้าแต่ว่าเราคือใช้ต้นทุนที่มีอยู่ให้เกิดประสิทธิภาพที่ดีที่สุดเพราะฉะนั้นธรรมชาติก็คือสิ่งที่จะทำให้เกิดสิ่งนั้นได้อะไรอย่างเงี้ย
Okay. So Sally answered your question from Sagan because this project has limited a budget. Okay. So in order to maximize to give a good quality of space is to use whatever necessary, which is surrounding, which is the best of the context. So that's why he tried to maximize both money and natural resources that surrounded the area. That's why how he think this project really linked to the nature. Yeah.
Right. So it's born out of necessity more so than anything else.
Yeah.
Good.
Right.
Good. Maybe Super Chai. What's
Yes.
your response? Your response to the question just now?
About this project, the key of this project is make identity of the northern architecture Thailand. So because of this office of the ASA to represent all of the northern architects. Then so I'm just make the realize of the simple architecture of the northern and put and make a combination between the past and the future and the present and the future of the architecture. Yeah.
I think for your project, one thing that strikes me most is that the inclusion of that sort of like paddy field and from the road, it is very unassuming. You don't even see the building. It's almost like a hidden
Yeah.
in behind the landscape, and it's very unique to have
That's
something like that.
the first picture that I try to make the people look at the no building, just the landscape and the just the pavilion, northern pavilion.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
So it's almost like the real program is hidden, and the only thing that you show is the Lana Pavilion that on top, right?
Yes.
Almost like you're sitting on a hill, which is I think
Mhm.
is a great architectural gesture. Xiaoxing and Kachan, perhaps you could respond as well.
Yeah, sure. The question was, how do we find the architecture in relation with nature, right?
Yes, because I think that is the common thread that binds almost all of these projects together.
Yeah, sure. Because we started from the vernacular architecture and we try to turn it to equip and be modernized to the modern lifestyle. So definitely when we talk about vernacular architecture, it's actually in Southeast Asia, not only in Thailand. We know that everything is related to nature, like our steep roof, and then we elevated the floor up to avoid the flood and the water rising, whatever. So we know that, and we try to get back to all the old knowledge. But then what we do in further extent is that we try to illustrate or put something from unseen before or something nearby in the area. For example, we excavate the soil in the site area. We taste it from the black mud to the red soil, and then we try to have it's mixed with the cement to plaster on the wall. That is the part that we involve the nature into architecture to be easier to touch. Apart from that, also we use other 100% recycled timber. We use timber, so we see the age, the time, and we try to illustrate, exhibit the trace of the old throughout that. And apart from, we go further from just the nature and the aging, we also look back on the old days and trace back the history, what we could use from the past. And I think it's also somehow it's a nature of people locally living there in the past that now it has been lost, and we try to exhibit that as really using tools in the area in the project as well. For example, you could see from the dragon jar or whatever, so on. So we really we think for this project is make us close to nature and know the nature more.
I think you hit the nail on the head because the idea of being close with nature and appreciating the way that we build with nature in this region is commonly shared. I think uh, the examples you stated, like elevating the building, having natural ventilation, having timber, having all these materials used, is prevalent not just in Thailand but also in Indonesia, also in Singapore, also in Malaysia, because perhaps generally we share the same climate. Of course, your building is in a nicer, more cooler type of climate. But I think generally the idea of learning from vernacular is something that we all need to relearn. Yeah, because I think when in the 50s and the 60s, a lot of Southeast Asian architects do learn from have studied in perhaps Western countries, and they have brought back modernism with them. And perhaps this modernism is the culprit to a lot of our environmental issues. Uh, I don't know. What do you think?
Uh,
Ah,
mm, yeah. Yeah. I think it's just as you mentioned. Um, I think for those of a project, it's like when it's got me thinking that because both of our project, it's like very contextualism, because they all use on what they have, right?
true.
Materials, right? Context, surrounding, and I think it's quite maybe I mean Sally, if you like when you're launching the book, right? Even when I was in another room, when I were moderator, I still we see a lot of this kind of project use a lot of what we have and try to especially the new generations, right? We were trying to extend ourselves into the future by using what we have. I think that's another point that I really I really love about the project. I mean, for the whole book.
Yeah, I think it brings about sort of like an aesthetic that is different from um, the universal aesthetic, or the
Mm-hmm.
sort of like if you look at modern architecture, there is this pristine, almost zen-like aesthetic, but we have a more down to earth, humble, perhaps more environmentally conscious aesthetic that I think signifies this region's architecture, if I may say so.
Yes, yes,
And
that's what the good word.
I'm really glad to be listening into all this presentation, because in the book, as I mentioned, it's just on a surface level. It's just pictures. It's just a brief description, but there's a lot more detailing going into the projects. Like for example, for the uh, A is AHASA farm stay, the usage usage of wood, the usage of rammed earth, is it, for the walls?
Oh,
That is something
mixture
that
of it.
is come again.
Oh, it's not ram earth. It's a mixture of the red soil to cement. It's simpler than ram
Ah,
earth.
okay.
Yeah, because it's
So
also a budgeted project.
okay.
Mhm.
But still, there's a lot of details that were, I think, if you are a fan of architecture, when you feel that the book still is a bit more superficial, perhaps like the double corridor in your project. It is an essential part of the planning, and I'm sure it's got something to do with the vernacular as well. Is it?
Oh, that part is actually a special requirement from clients because they initially they don't want the guests to turn on any AC or
Okay.
heater, so to experience the true nature. But then later on, this one is out of the. I mean, she didn't actually. I always include the image of actually client install AC later on because we have been during the time that we design work with them, we asked them several times that is no AC really, because we know that they couldn't live without AC. They said no, and then in the end they install it later on because the winter for a double wall is fine, it's all right. Nobody cannot live. But then when it comes to the summer, it's really too hot. So in the end, they have to install
I
AC.
see.
So back to
And
your question about double corridor is just about is it double wall, not double corridor, is to help for the during the winter time because Chiang Rai is colder than Bangkok. Yeah.
I think I know the image exists in the book. Above the bed there is one AC unit, and
Yeah.
yeah.
So we won over winter, but we lost to summer.
Yeah. And for the other projects as well, I mean, for the novice hostel, for example, um, there is, although it's a reinterpretation or adaptive reuse of the existing building, those same vernacular lessons such as natural light and natural ventilation is an integral part of the design, right? And even though I think the budget may not have included, as you mentioned just now, Scan, is a low budget project, but executed very well. And using low budget materials, you could achieve that sort of intimate feeling, and it is amazing. Um, but when how does this type of project actually um, is it feasible to keep doing this type of projects, or on because you concentrate a lot on religious buildings, right? um, a lot of people do religious buildings based on pro bono, lower fees and whatnot. The sustainability in terms of helping, or is it
Financial.
a CSR? Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually CSR project. Actually, the time that I did the project, I was still working for A49, which is a architecture company in Bangkok. So it's actually a part-time project for me. So I use the time after work or weekend. So I team up with my friends and work on the project. So it's a CSR
Wow.
project.
So, but the passion in your work shines through, even though it's a part-time project. So I guess that's a jumping point for starting a new firm.
Thank you.
Mm. And Superchai as well. There are a lot of amazing details in your project. Maybe you can highlight some of them. Uh, Not just the bamboo cladding, or not cladding, the bamboo imprint on the concrete. There are a lot of amazing brickwork, and the way that you hide all this infrastructure like drains and putting in all because it technically the landscape is sitting on top of the building, right?
Right. Actually, we we try a lot of the material of the northern, like red pavement. It's called like laterite.
Oh, that's right.
And
Okay.
um, in the and I think it's the same as the board of architect because this is not much budget, but all of the material maybe come from our Thailand supplier. that we glad to be give please uh, please use this material for them, and okay, I will use for them. And
So a lot of sponsorship material, is it?
yeah, a lot of material like
And Sally, just to add with Super Chat, this is a competition project.
Yeah.
this is a
They want
competition.
it's a nationwide project, so he's the winner. That's why that's the best one. That's why he got to build it.
Amazing.
Mhm.
The
And you asked about like high of the MEP or theเขาเรียกว่าอะไรนะ MEP and the pipe
Like
or of the drain.
drainage. Yeah.
Yeah.
drainage.
Yes. We all of the roof is like collecting the water, and we put the location of the pipe too high in the wall and drainage to the ground and drain to the public drainage. Just a simple, not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, because what I see is the main space, the courtyard, which a lot of party from your images that you show me, a lot of parties happening there, like really happening. I'm just imagining a lot of public things happening there, and we don't see any sort of things that would infer infrastructure, like all the drains are hidden very well, all the piping down pipes are hidden very well. That's amazing. That's amazing details.
Yeah, because I work with the structure engineer and the MEP engineer to combine all of this and hide all of the the drainage and the thing.
Even your car parking is hidden at the back of the building.
No.
So
The carpeting is on the left, the sub road
yeah.
at the side of the left side
Yeah,
of the site.
But what I meant is, if from the main road you don't see all this, is almost
Yeah.
like a very private thing, right? I think that I for all the projects, I think I'm amazed with the amount of detail and craftsmanship. What do you guys think of craftsmen? Because generally we find that in Malaysia we lack craftsmen, because not many people want to continue being craftsmen, and our construction industry is based more on foreign workers, which technically are unskilled. And for some of us, it's amazing to do such amazing brickwork, woodwork is something that is rare for us. And I don't know, is that tradition being continued in Thailand, or is it getting scarce as everywhere in the world? Or
I think I can add, Sally, about craftsmanship. I think that's what makes the regular architect different from the good architecture. I think that's the thing, because I can say that those office, they're quite the best in what they do. That's why I think when they work, they pay attention into the detail, especially the one that really reflect the design. For example, like from Samdun, right? Because the details really need to represent northern or landness. I think that's what get they won the awards. And also from Creative Cruise, I think the detail on how they use the recycled material, that one of the good, really good concept. I think they already have that in the beginning, and then how they implemented it. That's the most important thing,
the 8 houses,
right? And also yes, and also it's good with how they make use the context in the way that, I mean, the budget is really limited. I think that's another detail that he really looked into that. That's my thought. Yeah.
What do you think the future is for Thai architecture? What's the path pathway for the future, since there's a lot of young architects here,
Yeah, maybe
including you.
I
You're still
take
young.
on the question just now first. Is similar, is the same as in Thailand and Malaysia. The craftsmen, skilled craftsmen are getting to be difficult to find. Yeah, it's the same. I think it's the same trend, and many, like what just now Xiaoxing explained, that the carpenter who worked for the project worked with us. Actually, he worked for 50 years and never get any admiration, and he
Wow.
was already thought of like he will just quit the job. And then when work with us, and then actually it's not because of us, but it's because of the relationship between him, our client, and also the villagers nearby. Is very good, and then he happy with that, and he looking to continue. And after this project, he also doing quite a numbers of project later on. So we think that apart from the craftsman that being lost, is also is a part of our architecture profession that we could continue or extend the life of the craftsman as well. If we elevated them apart from just being a labor worker to be a skilled
Yeah.
person or the crafting.
Yeah, we need to acknowledge them, as you did in your slide. You even showed one slide with all the craftsmen, which is very rare, where architects actually acknowledge the builders. So I'm glad to see that you helped your local craftsmen. Anybody else wants to chip in on that note?
I think mine is different. Can I
Yeah, sure.
answer in Thai again? คือ
Sure.
ของโปรเจกต์ผมมันต่างจากอันอื่นตรงที่ว่ามันนอกจากพอบัดเจ็ตมันน้อยมากๆแล้วเนี่ยช่างเราก็ไม่สามารถเลือกช่างที่ดีได้เพราะฉะนั้นเหมือนมันก็กลับมาที่เราว่าเราจะออกแบบดีเทลหรือว่าวิธีการก่อสร้างยังไงให้มันง่ายที่สุดแล้วก็เหมือนช่างทำได้โดยที่เราไม่อาจจะมียากบ้างแต่เราคุยกับเขาแล้วเราเชื่อว่าเขายังทำสิ่งนี้ได้อยู่แล้วก็เหมือนกลับมาที่เราว่าเราต้องปรับดีเทลของเราให้มันอาจจะไม่ได้ซับซ้อนซ่อนเงื่อนมากแต่ว่ามันลงตัวแล้วก็จบด้วยตัวมันเองได้ง่ายด้วยการเทคนิคการก่อสร้างที่ simple แล้วก็เหมือนเราต้องเห็นว่าการก่อสร้างที่ simple มันออกมาดูดีได้ยังไงแล้วเราก็ implement เข้าไปให้ช่าง
Okay, ขอบคุณครับก็for Sakan, I think he's used a little bit different approach, because with the small, limited, very limited, but I don't know how much. I didn't ask him. So he said that he kind of worked with maybe not so skillful labor. So he kind of like work with them and then develop the detail that he thinks it fits with their skill. Okay, so those simple detail can be making really like effects with his design space. Yeah, so it's a little bit different approach.
So
and then
he
kind of like he also kind of like really what should I would use the words really give the labor like encourage to make a better workmanship as well. Yeah.
So it's the flip side, looking at the ability of the laborer and the builder and working your details to fit their skill level. Okay, that's a great strategy, by the way.
More like I adjust to them.
Yeah. Not too difficult, but still the result is great. Want to chip in, Super Chai? Any opinion?
In my opinion, actually, I agree with both with with the creative crew and Scan, because it depends on the project that we have good craftsmanship. Maybe it can be do the best thing that they do, but if the situation is not like a Scan, maybe simple is the best.
Yeah. But I think doing anything for the Architects Association is the most difficult, because you do something wrong, then all the architects will complain, right?
No, but about my project is like we need the mock up first, and
okay.
we inspect, and it's okay, do it like that.
All right. So the process is the quality process is built in. Okay, back to my question just now. I think perhaps the gearing up to the final question, because I think actually we are all the institutes are gearing up for the next round of books, and um, one of the key discussions is where is architecture heading in this region. And coming from Thailand, you guys have a pulse on where Thai architecture is heading, why Thai architecture is heading. So perhaps you could enlighten us. What do you think personally that the future vision for Thai architecture? Anyone?
Maybe
Maybe
the
I start.
youngest one. Okay, please.
So I think architecture is still diverse, and we have many ways we could do. So the diversity is important, but I think going along with all the good idea and good projects is about we will get to be more environmental friendly, more sustainable. I think that is the thing, the core, and to keep us in the earth and extend everything to the nature to longer. Yeah, I think the sustainability is one of the key
Sustainability.
for the future. Yeah.
So being sustainable is the key for the future of Thai architects. Okay. Anybody else? Scan? Super Chai?
For me, I think we in Thai again. Okay, can I?
Yeah, sure,
Okay,
no
sure.
problem. Art is here to translate.
คือคิดว่าคือจริงๆผมไม่มีปัญหากับ modern architecture หรือ architecture จากฝรั่งนะผมคิดว่ามันก็หมายถึงเราได้เรียนรู้วิธีคิดหรือว่าอะไรที่ผมว่าเป็นประโยชน์กับตัวผมและการศึกษามากๆนะผมเหมือนเรียนมา5 ปีเนี่ยผมว่า modern architecture ก็ค่อนข้างเชฟความคิดเราพอสมควรแต่คราวนี้ เหมือนที่เขาพูดแหละพูดที่ซาลีเขาพูดว่ามันเหมือนแบบว่ามาพอเราก๊อปปี้เขาอย่างเดียวเหมือนตึกออฟฟิศในเมืองไทยเรามองไปก็แบบแคลดด้วยกระจกหมดอะไรอย่างเงี้ยคือสำหรับผมคิดว่าเหมือนเรามีพื้นฐานที่ส่วนหนึ่ง influence จากฝรั่งแต่เหมือนเราต้องทำความรู้จักตัวเราเองมากกว่านี้หมายถึงสภาพอากาศหรือว่าสังคมเศรษฐกิจการเมืองและอื่นๆหมายถึงเรามีความรู้พื้นฐานที่ส่วนหนึ่งเชฟมาจากโลกตะวันตกได้แต่ว่าผมว่าเราก็ควรจะต้องเรียนรู้จักแล้วก็ appreciate ความเป็นตะวันออกหรือว่าความเป็นในพาร์ทของโลกที่เราอยู่ปัจจุบันมากกว่านี้เพื่อผมว่ามันจะทำให้ architecture ในไทยดีขึ้นในความเห็นผม
Okay, so his thoughts, it's quite interesting. He said even though we were shaping up by our Western education, like 5 years, right? But then I think his point is even though you shaping by those ideas and educations, but ability to understand the Eastern or yourself or your roots, I think it's more important, and for the young generations to learn that and then adapt to the knowledge you got to fit in the context is the most important, and also it will help the new generation of Thai architects to move forward into the future.
Okay, great. So understanding yourself and who you are and your roots is very important. Great message there, Scan. Super Chai?
Yeah, I agree with the Scan. We have to know myself, know yourself, and but in the future we have technology like 3D printing or something, and we have to input for the future world like sustainable design, innovation, and something that we have to concern about.
Okay. So basically, even though you agree with looking at sustainability and looking at the roots of i- Thai architecture, but there must also be emphasis on future technologies such as 3D printing and whatnot, so that the architecture will be propelled forward. Yeah, great. Perhaps Art, you can add to all this conversation about Thai architecture being very much involved in education as well as being part of ASA. Yeah,
I think yeah, Tyness, the word, it has
wow,
been like,
Thainess. Okay.
yeah, Tyness. We were like have this conversation for a long time. It's quite a dramatic topic, because we just have the the expo in Dubai, right? Now it's still
Yeah.
on Dubai, and one of our national pavilion, most of the criticism has, because it's not really reflect our deep roots. It's, I mean, some people say that our educationer say that it's just our very surface of Thai to show to the
Mm.
world. Yeah,
It doesn't have the
but
soul.
no, it's have the soul, but it's easy to digest. You know what I mean, right?
Oh, okay.
People
So,
like a tourist. You know what I mean, right? For tourists, for people who just come and go.
yeah,
That's why
like a
it's been both.
superficial show.
Yes, very super. Yes, but I think it depends. But for me, I think it depends on how you look at it, right? It because it's what people from outside looking toward us. It's not that we know ourselves, because we know ourselves already, and we architect, we learn to think in process. You know what I mean, right? So
Correct.
so the most tiniest that we're gonna show, maybe it's not that, but in that period that might be suitable for other people to learn Thai in that way, because it's easy to digest. So I mean, every time we have expo or something that represent our national, it's always have this discussion. So I guess in many like terms, or in many educational, we still like searching, because I mean, if you notice, right, when you look at like other nation architecture, like for example like Japan, let's say Japan, right? When you look at the work, you said, oh, that's Japanese architect, right? You can
Right.
tell. Yeah.
So
But
they
I mean,
already have an
we might,
identity. Hmm.
they have their senses, they have the senses very within the architecture. But we have some architecture, we already have it, but in order to reach to that point, we still searching. I can say, I just say
Mhm.
that we still
Yeah.
still searching,
Yeah.
especially like for example, like if you look at more closely, like let's say my region,
Hmm.
northern part of Thailand, right? We still have a lot of discussion about Islamic architecture in
Mm.
the new terms, because back then we used to have really cold weather. That's why the gable roof is really low, right? But now
Mm.
it's so hot, right? And we put AC on. Do you still call it land architecture? You know what I mean, right? It's still
Yeah.
constantly changing,
Context
right?
changing, but
So I think, yeah, yeah, that's why it's always changing. But what it's really Thai might be our roots, maybe our way of life, maybe our culture that's really adapted to fit within our life. Yeah, it's like fluidity, you know.
very deep,
Or I
very
mean,
deep. Art.
this, yeah. Sorry. So, but I mean,
No,
don't get
yeah,
me
yeah,
wrong. This conversation, like, it's a topic to any
a hot
any
topic.
like
Yeah.
chat rooms. Yes, chat rooms in many like designers and architecture like chat rooms.
I think it is common everywhere because when you compare, when you say Japan, for example, they have
Mm,
in terms of a country, they have matured. They are old country, right? They're old people.
mm,
So in terms of, although Siamese civilization or civilization anywhere in this region have been around for a long time, as a country, I feel that we are still young. So perhaps that's where this seeking of identity, as you mentioned, comes from, and like teenagers, right, trying to determine who we are. And perhaps that's good that we are talking about it, and I think more discussions, more conversations about it will help, especially the younger generation. Um, I'm very glad to see that the inputs from Thailand are from architects who are from this younger generation, rather than say, for example, very established architects like we see from, like the ones we see from Singapore coming from Woha, Kerry Hill.
Mm,
They are of a
mhm.
different generation, although we see that the emphasis here is on youth, on the future, and I think that is very refreshing for me, coming
Mm.
from my point of view lah, on the works here. So I think
Sally, I think
yeah.
maybe we do a foundation books on young architects. Yeah, it should be fun, right?
Yeah. That should be fun. That should be fun. But the fact that we are doing a Four Nation book and everybody gets in, but young architects get to be featured as well. And without
Yeah.
that means the quality of the works of the young architects are on par with that of the established firms as well. So that makes it uh, I think better than just doing it for young architects, because people might say, "Oh, young architects," then you just focus on young. But now,
Mm.
even with everyone in, um, young architects will still get featured. Yeah. So I think with that, we will wrap up. Thank you so much, Xiao Zing, Eka Chan, Scan, Superchai, and of course, the editor for Thailand Art. Thank you so much for making time today to join us at Archidex, and looking forward to the next book. We'll work together. And for everyone's information, this book is targeted to be published every 2 years. Yeah, so this year we have published one, so let's see in another 2 years if it can be finished accordingly, and hopefully Omicron won't disturb our progress.
Hopefully, we could see meet in person.
Yes, definitely. We have a party at the Lana ASA center there. Okay, guys, thank you so much. Bye bye. Have a great day. Have a great weekend.
Okay. Thank you so much,
Bye.
everyone. ขอบคุณครับ All
ขอบคุณ
right.
ครับ
Bye.
Bye.